So hello everyone, it's Toby from Toby's Urban Sketch, and today we're having a little look at this really loose and interesting sketch. So what I'm doing, I'm finding some of my old videos and having a look at them again, and of course doing so with some improved audio, and that's something which hopefully you're enjoying now on the channel, now that I've got my better microphone and things. But anyway, on with the art. As you can see, we've got a timer up in the top corner, and this is one of my 10-minute challenges. We've got this rather complicated scene. This is actually a photo in the centre of Cambridge, and what we've got is a scene with some linear perspective. It's 2-point perspective because it's going down to a vanishing point at the end, but it's also coming out to the side. Now, where I like to cope quickly with perspective is often to start at the smallest point, because then you can build outwards, and then also to simplify it. So do you see how on the right, although in the reference I think there's probably a vanishing point way off to the right, really what I've done, I've simplified it. So I've just flattened that perspective. So all we've got is 1-point perspective going off into the distance. This is a just a really simple continuous line sketch. So what we can do, we can get those really big shapes, then we can start just drawing in, building in little details. We move around, and all those connecting lines provide a sort of suggestion of detail as well. And the more details there are, the more connecting lines there'll be, so the more suggestions of details there'll be. So it's quite a clever way of not really having to actively do the making, do the sketching of details, whilst also providing the viewer a really easy way to see how much there is going on. So just continuing with that same idea, picking out a few places which need these extra things, and it's simple things like the little windows, just turning them into either lines or into squares, depending on where we are in the scene. And then if it's a 1-point perspective vanishing into the distance, I personally find it most convenient to work from the centre out to one side and then go back and then work out to the other side. And you've got to be quite careful when you're looking from side to side to match up those heights. So do a bit of comparative measuring and just go, how low, so we're having a look here, how low do we need to go relative to the other side? It's really easy to make it look like one side of the street is a lot higher or lower than the other side of the street just by misplacing the base of your buildings on the second street by 0.5 centimetre or something. And our eyes are unfortunately very good at picking this kind of thing up, but also it's very easy just to remember that and think about it, just actively think about it a little bit and get it right. You can see we're kind of doing a little bit of inventing some detail in this foreground on the left, and that's to try and mirror what's happening on the right. So we flatten this perspective on the right, we've done a little bit of flattening of the perspective on the left. You'll also note the focal point. So in the reference photo, the focal point, or the middle of the street, is very much in the middle of the page. But that creates quite a lot of sort of visual tension. So what we've done in this version, we've moved things slightly over. Things feel slightly asymmetrical. The left side of the street sort of curves around a bit more than in the reference. For me, that provides a lot more of I don't know the word, pleasing visual experience. Think about the rules of thirds and things like that. And if you don't know what those are, have a quick Google, or I have done a little video on composition in the past, so you can check out my playlist on sort of urban sketching fundamentals. So we're now just getting to the point where we're adding in fun little details, and these lights, these sort of streams of lights going across the front, and the quirky light just bending over the front is fun. But there's also all these people, all these humans, and humans don't need to be complicated, and we don't need to add them in at the beginning either. So what we can do, we can take our scene, decide when we finish sketching the sort of architecture or whatever the background of the scene is, and we can decide, does it need people? And I think for me this one really does, and the reason I say that is because just look at it now without the people, and it's quite spacious and empty. We need something to fill that gap. And actually, if you look at the reference photo, It's not that good, is it? There's some lovely light falling on this building, so the rest of it's quite just shadowy. The shapes are interesting, but the actual, as an image, it's not that interesting. What makes it interesting is how busy it is. And if we're going to have something busy, then a really good way of making it busy is to incorporate those people. So we don't have to sketch every individual person, we don't have to sketch them accurately, but just get this idea of what's going on. I like adding in little details like the bun and the hair, the sort of McDonald's drink, these things which give you, these people are very coarse shapes, aren't they? But adding in these simple little details tells you a lot about the person, about what they're doing. It makes them very human without really too much effort. And we can just work back. So we put in a few bigger figures in the front, and then we gradually work our way towards the back, and we can end up being quite happy with what's going on. Now you'll notice my time has run out rather quickly here. So we've done a very detailed, well, at least a very line dense sketch, haven't we? And that's fine. So we can now, if you have a dense sketch, you can do light colours. And colours, watercolours can go down surprisingly quickly. And don't forget, we can always come back, especially we're giving ourselves this false sort of 10-minute timer. But we can always come back and add in a bit more colour after. The 10-minute time is there to push us, to stretch us, but it doesn't mean we have to rigidly stick by it. The colours I'm using here, got a bit of phthalo cobalt blue in the sky, and then pooling in the middle is perylene violet, bit of moon glow, bit more there of that looks like some magenta, quinacridone magenta, and some lovely yellows. And as I said, you can always go into your bonus time. I talked earlier about that beautiful light, and I just want to get that feeling in there, because that is one of the things that drew me to this reference. And by using lots of water, you can see things just drip and move, and you get this lovely flow of colour through the image. You don't have to be sort of fixed to doing just bog standard dry colours. You can make it come alive. And I talked about this before, and someone put in a comment saying, I think it originally comes from Liz Steele, who's a fantastic artist, saying, just let the pigments have a party on your page. And I think that's an absolutely wonderful way of putting it. I'm putting some pigments down, I'm giving them some water, and they're having their own little pool party. And that's exactly what I think makes this kind of sketching really fun. So now we can let that dry, and you'll find that your colours continue to mingle, but also disappear a bit into the distance. They become more transparent, they lose some of their vibrancy. I actually really like this image as it is now, but I think it's also fun to explore when you've done a loose sketch like this, to explore, just take a risk and see other things I could do to make it better. Or is this all I should have done? Fortunately for me, I videoed this, so I have a permanent record of when I really like it, so I get to just experiment risk-free in many ways. So what I want to do is just bring out some of these people a bit more. So I'm taking some really thick, transparent pyrrole orange and just dabbing it around, and also into the other sort of key detail, which are these streamers, these lights or bunting going across the street. And just exploring other ways of doing that. So a lot of the time using brush is a great way. So just a pointed brush, this is a size 2 quill. Really nice way of just popping down some dense colour. Doesn't have to be clever, doesn't have to be neat. It's just providing a different vibrancy to our image. The other ways you can do it are even literally to paint straight out of a tube. So if you want really dense colour, you can paint straight out of a tube, or you can dab a tube on the page and create really different textures. But anyway, that is my sketch done, a re-upload with some new audio. Always sign your page, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please do like, subscribe, leave a comment, and thanks for watching.